I should have just gone home, but after a double shift at the hospital, my bones felt like lead, and I needed something hot before the long drive home. McDonald's coffee wasn't good, but it was strong, and at 1:17 a.m. on the south side of Chicago, that was good enough. The drive-thru line was packed, a row of brake lights stretching to the street. I sighed, pulled into a spot, and cut the engine. That's when I noticed the van, a dented gray minivan parked 2 spaces down, engine running. Inside, 2 men in black hoodies sat too still, their heads barely moving. But their eyes tracked me through the frosty windshield. My stomach clenched. I told myself not to be paranoid. It's Chicago. People hustle. Maybe they were waiting for a deal, or maybe they were just getting warm. Still, I clutched my keys tighter as I walked inside, boots crunching over patches of ice. The heat inside hit me like a wall, grease, coffee, and something vaguely burnt. I exhaled, shaking the feeling off. Just get your coffee and go. I never should have come inside. 10 minutes later, coffee in one hand, fries in the other, I stepped outside and froze mid-step. Someone was hunched over my car. A lanky guy in a ski mask was jimmying my driver's side door with a coat hanger. My body moved before my brain did. "Hey, get the F..." He snapped his head up like a deer caught in headlights, then bolted. My hands were shaking, but I saw exactly where he ran, straight into the gray van. The passenger door flung open. He dived inside. Tires screeched as they peeled out. I was about to yell something else when I saw it. Movement in my back seat. My car door was open. The wind rattled through the frame, but something inside rustled. Then I saw it, a gloved hand gripping my headrest. Someone else was still in my car. Adrenaline slammed through me. I dropped my coffee, my fries spilling onto the pavement. Then I ran. My boots slid on the ice, but I didn't stop until I was back inside McDonald's, yanking the door shut behind me. I turned to the window, chest heaving, just in time to see the van swerve onto the highway, brake lights flashing. But what made my blood turn ice cold was what I saw when the lights illuminated my car. A third man, crouched low in the back seat. I hadn't seen him before. Had he been hiding there the whole time? The cops came fast. They had to. Southside McDonald's at night? This wasn't their first call. I was still shaking when they checked my car. The glove box was rifled through. My floor mats were tossed up, like someone was searching for something. The cop shook his head. "They were waiting for you to unlock it with your fob," he muttered. I blinked. "What?" "They watch for people walking up to their cars. You click unlock and boom, doors pop open. Gives them access to the back seat." I stared at him, heart pounding. I'd done exactly that. If I hadn't spotted that first guy, if I'd just gotten in. I swallowed hard. "Do you think they were just robbing me?" I asked. The cop didn't answer right away. Then he just said, "You were lucky." That wasn't an answer. No arrests, no follow-up. Just a police report and a knot in my stomach that never really went away. I started triple-checking my locks. I stopped parking next to vans, and every time I walked to my car at night, I checked the back seat first, just in case I'm not so lucky next time. The worst part of the graveyard shift at McDonald's wasn't the exhaustion. It wasn't the half-drunk customers or the guy who always ordered just a cup of ice like it was some kind of secret code. It was quiet. At 2:30 a.m., with rain smearing, the windows and fog curling around the neon golden arches, the store felt too empty. The only sounds were the dull hum of the fryers and the occasional static from the drive-thru speaker. I was restocking napkins near the condiment station when the front door slid open. A woman stepped inside. Her raincoat was tattered and soaked, the fabric clinging to her thin frame. But it wasn't the coat that made my breath hitch. It was the mask. A porcelain doll mask, cracked down the side, the kind with hollow eyes, and a frozen, unsettling smile. She just stood there, motionless, watching. Can I help you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She didn't answer, just tilted her head slightly, the mask's glossy surface reflecting the fluorescent lights. Then, without a word, she turned and walked into the bathroom. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. What the hell? I waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. She never came out. I nudged my manager, Ricky, who was scrolling through his phone behind the counter. "Hey, there's some weird lady in the bathroom." He sighed. "Homeless, probably. I'll check." We pushed the door open together. The stall doors were wide open, empty. The only thing out of place was the back door, slightly ajar, letting in a gust of cold, wet wind. Ricky shrugged. Probably just a drunk. I wanted to believe that. But something about the way she stood, so still, the way she tilted her head like she was listening, made my skin crawl. I told myself it was over. It wasn't. At 3:45 a.m., after we'd locked the dining area, I was wiping down the counters when I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the drive-thru window. I turned, and there she was. The woman in the mask, her face pressed against the glass, the hollow eyes staring straight at me. A sick feeling crawled up my spine. "Ricky," I whispered. "She's back." Before I could react, she suddenly threw something at the window. Splat. Ketchup packets. They burst on impact, streaking the glass with red. Thick, smearing, like blood. I stumbled back, heart hammering. Ricky grabbed the store phone, finally snapping out of his indifference. "Lock the office, I'm calling 911. I didn't argue. I bolted to the tiny back office, locking the door behind me. Outside, the drive-thru speaker crackled to life. I could barely hear her voice through the static, but I caught one word. "Special." When the police arrived, I was still locked in, the office listening to my pulse pound in my ears. They found her behind the dumpster, still wearing the cracked porcelain mask, still holding a handful of ketchup packets. The officer closest to me sighed as he snapped on a pair of gloves. "Oh, her again," he muttered. "Again?" I croaked. "Yeah. She did this at a Burger King last week," he said, glancing at his partner. "Kept asking for the special menu." They cuffed her, leading her toward the squad car. But right before they shut the door, she turned her head toward me. And in a perfectly normal voice, she said, "You'll see me again." The cops never explained what she meant. They took her away, filed the report, and told us to call if she came back. I finished my shift, but I felt off the rest of the night. Something about her voice stuck with me. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't angry. It was calm. Certain. Like she knew something I didn't. Now every time I work late, I flinch when the drive-thru bell dings at 3 a.m., and I never look at the security monitors alone. Friday nights at McDonald's in downtown Detroit were always a mess. People pushing, kids screaming, someone always complaining about the ice cream machine being broken. I'd just gotten off a 10-hour shift at a construction site, and all I wanted was a double cheeseburger and fries before heading home. The line stretched to the door. The air inside was thick with grease, sweat, and desperation. A toddler in a puffy red coat was throwing McNuggets at the ceiling, while his exhausted mother pretended not to notice. I adjusted my high-vis vest, my steel-toe boots tapping impatiently on the tile. That's when I felt a tug on my sleeve. "Mister, can you buy my mom's food?" I turned. A little girl, no older than 8, stood there in a thin hoodie. Her dark hair was tangled, her eyes big and wide. I followed her gaze to the woman leaning against the soda station. She looked rough. Messy hair, face hollowed out like she hadn't slept in days. But what really caught my eye was the tray in front of her. 6 Big Mac meals, 3 apple pies, and 2 McFlurries stacked like a pyramid. I raised an eyebrow. That's not desperation. That's a damn order for a family reunion. I looked back at the girl. "Sorry, kid, I can't," I said. She hesitated, then sprinted back to her mom. I should have just let it go. But as I waited, in line, I overheard exactly what I wasn't supposed to. The woman bent down, her voice a sharp hiss. "Try the old man by the ketchup. We got $80 yesterday." My grip tightened around my wallet, so that's what this was. A scam. I wasn't the only one who noticed. The cashier, a young guy who looked one breakdown away from quitting, shook his head. "She's here every weekend," he muttered under his breath. "Different kid every time." I exhaled hard. I wasn't about to be part of someone's McDonald's hustle. I stepped forward in line, finally face to face with the cashier. Before I could order, a voice cut through the noise. "Yo, you really just gonna let my baby go hungry?" I turned. The woman was staring me down, hands on her hips. "Y'all really starving with 2 days worth of food?" I shot back. Her face, twisted rage bubbling up fast. "Mind your damn business, broke ass." She grabbed her cart of food and rammed it straight into my shins. Crash. Trays went flying. A McFlurry exploded on the floor like a grenade. The kid who'd been throwing nuggets earlier let out a gleeful shriek. The whole McDonald's went silent. The cashier's mouth hung open. Someone in the back muttered, "Damn." I clenched my fists, ready to move. But I didn't have to. 2 employees and an off-duty cop had already closed in. "Ma'am, you need to leave now," one of them said. The woman did not take that well. She started swinging, her voice rising into a full-on meltdown. "He's lying! I'm a mother!" The EP, cop clearly over it, stepped forward. "You pulled this scam at 3 McDonald's this week. We got the footage." She froze. I watched the realization sink in. This wasn't just her usual hustle. She'd been caught. Handcuffs clicked. She spat on the floor, her glare locked on me. "Hope you choke on your burger." I paid for my food and walked out, the tension still thick in the air. As I reached my car, I glanced back at the McDonald's windows. The woman was being escorted out, her daughter trailing behind silently. And for the first time that night, I felt it, that twist in my gut. I wasn't wrong about her. She was running a scam. But the kid? She was just following orders. I sat in my truck for a long minute, staring at my untouched fries. Scams happen every day, but what happens when you grow up in one? I shook the thought away, started my engine, and drove off. But the next time I saw a kid tug on someone's sleeve, at McDonald's, I didn't ignore it. Phoenix never really cooled down, not even at 2:30 a.m. The asphalt still radiated heat, and the air was thick with that dry, suffocating desert warmth. I'd spent the last 6 hours hunched over a laptop in the ASU library, trying to make sense of a research paper I had to finish by morning. My brain felt like mush. By the time I left, my stomach was gnawing at itself. I knew I should just go home and sleep, but something salty, something cold, it sounded too good to pass up. The 24-hour McDonald's off the highway was practically empty when I pulled in. A single car sat near the dumpster, its windows dark. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, making the whole place feel washed out and sterile. Inside, it was eerily quiet. No chatter, no drive-thru orders coming through. The speakers, just the occasional beep from the kitchen. I went straight to the self-checkout, eager to get in and out. But as I reached for the screen, a lanky guy in a McDonald's polo stepped in front of me. His uniform was stained, his eyes sunken and dark like he hadn't slept in days. "Yeah, those are busted," he said. "I can ring you up, though." Something about the way he said it made my skin prickle, but I just nodded and followed him to the register. I just wanted my fries. I swiped my card, waiting for the receipt to print, when I felt him staring at me. "You come here often?" he asked, his fingers lingering on my fry container before sliding it into the bag. "No," I said quickly, reaching for my food. "You should," he continued, ignoring my tone. "I work nights. We could hang out." I glanced at his name tag, Trevor. The way he was looking at me made my stomach turn. His eyes were too steady, his expression too blank, like he wasn't really joking. "I'm good," I muttered, grabbing the bag and stepping back. He leaned forward on the counter, tilting his head. "You sure? I get off at 4. I forced a tight smile. "Yeah, good night." Then I walked out fast. The second I stepped outside, I felt it, that weird crawling sensation at the base of my neck. The parking lot was empty except for my car, and The flickering streetlight. The single car by the dumpster hadn't moved. I tightened my grip on my keys, the metal jagged between my fingers just in case. Halfway to my car, I heard it. "Hey, where you headed?" I turned, my heart lurching. Trevor was standing in the doorway, silhouetted by the McDonald's lights. He wasn't moving toward me, but he also wasn't going back inside. I forced a laugh like he was just some harmless guy messing around. "Home, man, good night." I clicked unlock on my key fob, picking up my pace. "You sure you don't want to wait?" Trevor called after me. "It's not safe out here alone." My pulse slammed against my ribs. I didn't answer. I yanked my car door open, slid inside, and locked it the second it shut. Through the windshield, Trevor was still there, just watching. I peeled out of the parking lot, glancing in my rearview mirror the whole time. He didn't follow me. But the whole drive home, my stomach wouldn't unclench. Every time I saw headlights behind me, I wondered if it was him. I took the long way, weaving through side streets just to be sure. By the time I pulled into my apartment complex, my fries were cold and my hands were shaking. I threw the food away. Then I grabbed my phone, deleted the McDonald's app, and blocked the number listed for that location, just in case. Weeks passed. I never went back to that McDonald's. But some nights, when I was up late studying, I'd glance at the clock. 2:30 a.m., and I'd wonder, was Trevor still there? Still working nights? Still waiting for another girl to ask for here or to go? Working the late shift at McDonald's in Houston wasn't exactly glamorous, but at 17, a paycheck was a paycheck. I needed money for a car, and flipping burgers under fluorescent lights was better than begging my parents for rides. By 11:30 p.m., my feet ached. My uniform was stained with fryer grease, and the last bus had already left. My phone was dead, which meant I was stuck waiting for my brother to pick me up whenever his football practice ended. I was counting out my crumpled tips in the break room when a shadow leaned against the fry station. "Need a ride, new girl?" I didn't have to look up to know it was Jared, 22, shift leader. Smirk that never quite reached his eyes. Every girl who worked here warned me about him. He flirted too much, stood too close. Got fired twice for misunderstandings with female staff. But somehow he always came back. "I'm good," I said, shoving my tips into my bag. Jared jingled his truck keys. "Come on, I know your brother's still at practice." My stomach dropped. How did he know that? I forced a polite smile. "He's on his way. Thanks, though." Jared studied me for a long second before pushing off the counter. "Suit yourself, Soph." That was the first time he used my name, and I hated the way it sounded in his mouth. 15 minutes passed. No texts, no brother. The parking lot outside was empty, except for the flickering streetlight and the low buzz of the highway in the distance. Jared was still in the lot when I walked out. His truck idled, windows rolled down. "Still need a ride?" I hesitated. It was late. It was hot. I was exhausted. I told myself it was just a ride, so I opened the door. The first 5 minutes were fine. Then, instead of turning onto my street, he kept going. You missed my turn," I said. Jared didn't blink. "Just gotta grab my wallet first." He pulled into an apartment complex with broken streetlights. My fingers gripped my phone charger in my pocket, my pulse hammering. "Take me home, now." Jared killed the engine. "Relax," he said, flashing that empty smirk. "Come up for one drink." I didn't answer. I just yanked my charger out and plugged my phone in. 1%. My hands shook as I pulled up my contacts. My brother's name was barely on the screen before I hit call. He picked up on the first ring. "I'm at Jared's apartment on Cypress Creek. He won't..." Jared's hand shot toward my phone. I dodged, kicked the door open, bolted. I ran through the complex, barefoot on the hot pavement, my lungs burning. Behind me, I heard Jared's voice, loud, angry. I didn't stop. I didn't look back. 10 minutes later, headlights screeched into the lot. The door flew open and Diego, my brother's best friend, varsity linebacker 6'2", and built like a wall, stepped out. cracking his knuckles. Jared suddenly had a work thing. He peeled out of the lot so fast his tires squealed. The next shift, Jared cornered me by the dumpsters. "You know you overreacted, right?" I held my ground. "We should finish that ride," he said, stepping closer. I didn't flinch. Instead, I walked straight past him into the restaurant, straight to the manager, and I told him everything. How Jared ignored my stop, tried to get me upstairs, grabbed at my phone. I pulled up the call proving my brother was on the line, showed the text from Diego, time-stamped from when he found me in the lot. And then I asked one question. How many more girls need to come forward before you actually fire him? The manager turned pale. Security footage backed me up. Diego backed me up. And as Jared screamed about false accusations, the manager finally did what should have happened years ago. "Clean out your locker." Jared was gone, but the weight in my chest didn't disappear. I kept working at McDonald's, but I never stayed past 10 p.m. again. And every time I drove past that apartment complex, I thought about the other girls. How many didn't have Diego show up in time? How many never said anything at all? I never found out. But I never took the wrong turn again.